Hello, everyone. This is Senju San, and today is the day. Fantastic Four is officially out in theaters today, August 7th, 2015, and I've heard a lot of negative responses about this movie. From both people here on the internet and from my own close friends and family. I haven't watched any reviews for this movie yet, mainly because I feel as though if I watch a review for a movie before I watch the movie itself, I'll have these sort of preconceived notions about the movie. My perception of the movie will be skewed, and I won't be able to form my own biased opinion about the film. And this just goes with any film. And sort of like, I feel as though if I'm going to review a film, which I might just do that for Fantastic Four, I think I might not want to sort of be looking at other people's reviews, and I would like to, be able to form my own opinion about stuff. And from what I've heard from, other sites, they've been talking about, Metacritic, Rotten Tomatoes, IDMB. They say that the Fantastic Four movie has been getting low ratings. I don't give a crap about those sites anymore. I used to really go to those sites and really sort of I really sort of counted on those sites, I guess, for my my movie opinions in the past. I took a lot of those ratings to heart, but now I'm realizing that yeah, some of these critics, you got to realize that they sit around all day watching films. This is their job, so like they have sort of a different way of looking at films than a casual viewer. So uh, that's just a topic for another day. I'll probably talk about I'll probably do a separate video, tackling this subject matter later about Metacritic and all that other stuff. But for right now, I really just sort of want to talk about movie adaptations today. So today I just want to talk about movie adaptations. I'm not strictly going to limit the scope of this video I'm not going to limit the scope of this video to simply comic book adaptations, but I will mostly be focusing on them for this video, although I may mention other types of adaptations throughout this video, but I guess the best place to start for talking about movie adaptations is just to sort of explain what a adaptation is. So, I really don't think some people on the internet understand what an adaptation truly is. And this is just I sort of feel like this is my definition of an adaptation, but is, I think my explanation of it is truly what an adaptation is truly meant to be. An adaptation is not a one-to-one retelling of a story from a book, a cartoon, or any type of media. It could be a cartoon, book, or whatever you want to call it. Although it can be a one-to-one retelling. I mean, it can be that, but most of the time it's not. They do make changes. Hollywood makes changes. When film adapters, when filmmakers make an adaptation to a story, so when they make an adaptation to a story, they're sort of telling a particular story almost as if it was being told for the first time. In most cases, Fantastic Four is a complete reimagining of the well-known origin story, and many are already panning it and calling it a bad adaptation. I plan on seeing the film later today, probably in just maybe 3 or 4 hours. So I will hold my opinion off until later. But for right now, I just want to discuss with you guys very briefly on, what really makes a good movie adaptation. And to me, I think it all comes down to this one single thing. The movie has to capture the essence of the source material. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that, the movie has to be 100% faithful to the source material, as certain things that worked in the comic or worked in the animated cartoon, that certain things won't work on the big screen. Also, in some cases, like the Fantastic Four reboot and something like maybe the Christopher Nolan Batman films, or Man of Steel, which I really love. The film is more grounded, and the story is reimagined. A lot of people hate when Hollywood makes changes to things, but you have to understand that certain things just aren't going to look right on screen. Something like Dragon Ball Z or Naruto, just to give y'all two examples right there. Uh, in my opinion, I don't think there's any way to sort of adapt that to make that sort of fit on screen if we're going to, for a one-to-one readaptation, a one-to-one adaptation, excuse me, of these shows because they just wouldn't work if they tried to emulate everything from an anime and change nothing up. I guarantee you, it would just look awful. It just wouldn't work. But for the record, though, I'm not defending I'm not defending some of the defending. I mean, oh shoot, I'm I'm getting tongue tied. My fault, guys. I'm not really defending any of the bad decisions that Hollywood has made over the years when it comes to adaptations of like Dragon Ball Evolution, for example. Uh, Adaptations to like Dragon Ball Z, The Last Airbender, stuff like that. I'm not defending any of that sort of stuff where like characters were misused and the setting was all wrong. They changed the pronunciation of names of certain characters, stuff like that. But maybe the changes in these films would have worked. Maybe the changes in these films would have worked, but whoever wrote the script, the director, and just about anyone else who had any sort of involvement in crafting the story for those films, and even I'll even count it. I'll even put some of the blame on the directors directing the actors. They just didn't. Maybe they did, but I don't think they spent enough time with the source material to sort of understand what made the stories in those shows like Dragon Ball Z, like The Last Airbender, so great to fans. I mean, I think like if you're gonna make an adaptation to a film, you should be required to at least watch maybe 20 or so episodes, especially if it's a short show, if it's a short comic book, just read the whole thing. Read it twice if it's short. But spend some time with the source material to understand what the story is truly about, to truly capture the essence of, those characters and what the overall sort of themes of the show or cartoon or whatever you're making is about first. And then you can make the film. When filmmakers understand the essence of the source material, you get great adaptations like the X-Men franchise, which I know some of you guys are, I've heard recently, well, I read recently this week, I was making comments on a separate YouTube video about the Fantastic Four and about Fox and about the X-Men franchise. And I honestly didn't know before I started doing, but before I even got into YouTube and started interacting with everybody up here, I didn't know that there were people. I've never met someone who said they didn't like the X-Men franchise, the X-Men, live action adaptations. But there are people up here that actually simply hate those movies, but I feel like those movies are great adaptations. The Batman trilogy, I don't even think I have to make my point for that. And of course, the Marvel films. These are all great adaptations. And when you get filmmakers, when you get people that just don't understand the source material and everything, you can get movies that misuse characters or even worse, focus on the wrong ones, sort of like the Transformers films. Even though, for the record, I really like those films, except for four, which I now realize is complete crap. But you know, anyway, a good adaptation, in my opinion, it has to cater to a wider audience. It doesn't seek to just be a movie, simply for the fans. These studios aren't about making movies for those of us who already know the story already. And that's a big problem for that's something that a lot of people up here on the internet don't seem to have a good grasp on that sort of concept right there. They're making movies for the people who don't know the story already. Oh, and they're also making it. They're gonna make the film for money. They're making it for money, lots and lots of money. But in any case, this is something that I think, like I said, this is something I think a lot of people just have sort of a hard time sort of understanding. I think a lot of fanboys have to come to terms with this. There have been countless films that have failed to resonate with the mainstream audience that, the film stayed 100% true to the source material with little or no changes to the story or characters whatsoever, and yet it still did bad. Either the audience just didn't take to it, mainstream audience didn't take to it, reviewers didn't like it, one or the other, or maybe even in some cases both. I think a movie like the upcoming Deadpool movie will be yet another example of this. And I know a lot of people are really enjoying the trailer or yeah, getting tongue tied. I know a lot of people have already said that they enjoyed the trailer that just came out. That they enjoyed, you know, uh, what has been shown so far about that film. But I don't get it. It doesn't, it doesn't do anything for me. Maybe it's because I don't have any attachment to Deadpool, the character, but I just don't really see that working. I don't really see the big fuss about this character. I honestly don't. Judging from the recent trailer, Deadpool just doesn't seem like it would hit the mainstream audience, or pull in enough cash to be considered a successful first movie. This may be because, like I said earlier, certain things just won't work as well as they did in the comics, or it could have another issue that just plagues any other sort of film in any other genre, such as something like pacing problems and stuff like that. But not that I'm bashing Deadpool or anything. I'm just saying it doesn't look like it might be that good. But anyway, I think in most cases, when changes aren't made that can benefit a film, that is why you get so many of these stinkers. That's why you get so many of these failed films. My overall point, basically, for this film, I mean, for this video, excuse me, my overall point for this video is pretty much just to, my overall takeaway point for this video is just to say, major changes when Hollywood makes major changes to us to the source material and everything for their movies, that doesn't really uh, make the film a bad movie adaptation. If they make changes here and there, like the Fantastic Four story, uh, I'll just use that as an example. They changed a lot in this new film, even just for, and this is just me going off of the trailer. They changed the origin story. They changed the major characters and stuff. They changed different things about those characters, but at the end of the day, if at the end of the day that movie maintains the identity of the Fantastic Four and it feels like the Fantastic Four, even if it's sort of a even if it's different, even if it's a little different from the store, even if it's a little different from the source material, or even if they changed it so much, I mean, if they change it so much that it's not the Fantastic Four and it's just something completely different entirely, then that's when you can say, okay, it's a bad adaptation. And that's the point I'm trying to make for this video. And that's the thing I hope you guys take away from this video. From this video is pretty much that, you know what, when Hollywood makes changes to films, it's not a bad thing. When they make changes that that are, just changes the whole entire story, makes it into something completely different than what the source material really is. Like when the movie loses its identity, I guess the best way to sort of explain to you guys what I mean is when the movie loses its original identity because of bad changes that a studio makes, that is what makes a bad adaptation. when there are when there are good changes, or when there are changes that just fit for this type of movie and for what the director and what the people making the film were going for the film, then that's when we can say it's a good adaptation. But let me know what you guys think about this subject. I think I've sort of ranted on long enough. I just really wanted to sort of do a video on this before I do a review for Fantastic Four later. So let me know what you guys think. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.